is it. She said, this is it for me.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who transitioned out of the healthcare field after COVID. They were so traumatized
Yeah.
through the whole COVID ordeal that they were just like, I can't do it. I have a guy who used to be my neighbor. He just got back into nursing like within the last 2 years. But like, yeah, there were a lot of people who, so it doesn't surprise me that people transition out of healthcare, especially, in the past couple of years. Is definitely a nursing shortage. And I've been paying attention to a lot of that because I can imagine what it's like on our side as patients advocating for ourselves. It's one thing. It's another thing to be in healthcare on that side.
Yeah.
And experiencing. So I think that, I don't like to compare traumas. And I don't like to police other people's lives and say that's not trauma, because we are all unique people, and what creates a marker in one person's life may not create a marker in another person's life. I'm not here to do that. And I don't advocate for that. I believe that people should be allowed to feel what they feel, and especially in a time where everybody want to weigh in and be judge, jury, and executioner of other people suffering and what they go through. I just believe that open your mouth and advocates closed mouths don't get fed. With that said, if I advocate for myself, because my thing is I'm darned if I do, I'm darned if I don't, I'm going to say something, because at the end of the day, I'm considered a marginalized in marginalized community. I'm a Black woman. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to speak up for what's just, what's fair,
and
marginalized, right? You're not going to talk crazy to me. And
absolutely not.
You're not going to talk crazy about me in my presence, right? And you're not going to make me feel like what I'm saying is out of the box, too much, whatever the case may be, or that, I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. I'm explaining to you certain things. So for instance, we talked about this offline when I was telling the young girl, I think she was, our doctor's offices have the little interns and people who come through. And I was explaining to her, my symptoms, what I was going through, and that I thought I was in menopause or these perimenopause. And she was like, oh, no, you're not old enough for that. If anything, you might be pre-perimenopause. There's a pre-hell to the pre-hell of menopause. First of all, I didn't know. She said, oh, yeah. Second of all, I said, baby, I'm thinking to myself, you see my chart? Do you see what year?
Clearly not.
It's 1976, baby.
Clearly not.
I've been 40 for a minute.
Right.
I'm telling her, like, I've got frozen shoulder. I can't do. I'm showing her I cannot lift my shoulder above here. I got this. I've got that. I've got, all of these different things. Now, I know it's frozen shoulder now. At the time, I didn't know that. I just knew I could not lift my shoulder above this. I'm doing all kinds of exercises and that, and this is what's going on, and that's going on, and I'm running it down. Oh, no. So then I talked to my doctor, who was a Black woman. And again, this is what we talk about, that we are not included in a lot of the medical, anything in particular. And there's not a lot as it relates to hormones. And so she was like, we can run a hormone panel. She said, but unless something comes back abnormal, it's not going to tell me whether you're actually in perimenopause or anything. It's just going to tell me if there's anything off. So we ran it anyway. Came back normal. She was like, I don't really know, other than based off of the symptoms that you're telling me. There's nothing else that's thrown off. She said, so we can do, the next thing to do is an ultrasound. And we can take an ultrasound of this, and this, and then see if that tells us anything. So basically, you want me to be a case study and experiment on me.
Pretty much.
And what I'm not finna do is have folks continue to poke, prod, look, put things in, say, and we're going to do this type, because if we do this type, so you want to insert something else in. After you done already violated me and done everything else on past me and all this kind of character. Speaking of, y'all, can somebody explain to me the concept of, we're going to give you this garment to put on. We're going to leave and give you some privacy to get undressed, put this garment on, only for them to come back in the room and open that thing up and expose your nakedness anyway. I'm confused about why we need privacy to get naked for you to cover up, for you to come in, and you still finna look at everything.
Anyways.
And I mean, you gonna get all up in there, like you getting all up in, like there is nothing that you not finna
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
I don't understand the logic
Yeah.
behind that part, but okay, I'm sorry. But I just want to advocate that we need to change
Ooh.
that. I don't know what, how, but somehow can we
Somehow.
change that a little bit? I don't know. That just doesn't make any sense to me because you are all up in it. You got this
Yeah.
antique apparatus. They come in plastic now, but back in the day, they was all metal.
All metal.
They come in plastic now, and they come in different sizes. Because back in the day, I don't know if they came in different
One
sizes.
size.
One
Fit
size.
all.
Now they come in different sizes. Basically, pre-baby and post. If you had a baby, you get the post-baby size. If you
That's
ain't
it.
had one, you get the small. And the smallest size hurt. I don't care what you say. And so
Huh.
they stick this apparatus in you. And again, you have to advocate for yourself, like, okay, because here's the thing: there's an automatic assumption. If you're a black woman, there's an automatic assumption that they're going to use the biggest size.
Yep. Yep.
You have to advocate for yourself and say, listen, I haven't had sex in a while, I'm a virgin, whatever. You can say those things and they'll still automatically use the biggest size possible. Now, why would you do that on somebody who's like 16, 17 years old, who may be having some problems, and you have to do do that or whatever. They haven't had sex, and they have to have, you got to have it. You got to test it. Why would you use the biggest size, not the smaller size? I don't understand that. But this is the thing.
Hello.
These are things that creates trauma, because let me tell you, when I say white coat, I cannot stand the PAP process. I don't know any woman who does, but God bless you. But my last one, I was in there running on the table until the lady, she said, stop. And she asked me, I said, I already told you, such. She said, right, change that. You pulled the wrong size out. So I advocated for myself, but I was grateful that there was another person in the room. The other doctor was in the room who said, that's the wrong size. Did you listen to what she said? You got to use something. So she asked me one question. I said, and she said, use a smaller one.
And that's what,
because look at how she's responding. Look at like how tight things are, how this, how that. Like, you got to pay attention to the patient. Listen and pay attention, because why are you using this huge mamma jamma size? Like, I done had a whole 5 baby done come out. I ain't had no babies. Right. So why would you automatically use the biggest size? There's an assumption that comes with when it comes to Black women in healthcare. And so I'm glad that she was there to advocate, because I was getting ready to swing on old girl. That's what I'm telling you now. This is not going to go the way any of us think it's going to go. Right. Not
only are there assumptions, but we also have to understand there's racism, there's racial bias, there's all of that. We have a lot to contend with in these spaces. We don't know what someone's thought pattern toward Black people is. We don't know what their thought pattern is toward Black women. We don't know. So this is why it's important for us to have the courage and the boldness to speak up. If something doesn't feel right, doesn't set right with us, doesn't look right, doesn't sound right, we have to be bold enough to say something.
You're right, because got a mammogram one time. Had to change the technician out because I was about to slam my head through the machine.
Listen.
First of all, she wouldn't lower the machine, so I'm on my tippy toes. Remember earlier we were talking about dense breast tissue. So they put you, how when you get a mammogram, they smash you like a pancake, because it got to be from one to the next. So first of all, she wouldn't lower the machine, so I'm on my tiptoes, and I'm like, "Can you please lower the machine?" So I'm already struggling, and she manhandling me, and I'm like, "Listen, I didn't sleep with you last night,
right?
I ain't put nothing in your coffee or your cornflakes this morning.
Hello.
I don't know what's going on, but can you be better? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, but she didn't get better. So I said, let me tell you something.
Mm-mm.
I put my clothes. I went I went, and they knew I was serious because I went. I was like, I'm a slam my head, and I said because
Yeah.
one, I keep having to stand on my tippy toes. Second of all, two, she's manhandling me. I've asked her to stop, and she won't. I don't know what the problem is, but I need somebody else to do my mammogram. It's already uncomfortable and painful,
Mm-hmm.
but what I'm not gonna do is have somebody abuse me just to
Right.
get this exam. We're not
Right.
gonna do that. And so um, they switched it out. Another time, somebody walked by because they closed the door, but they heard me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I don't know if it was an administrator or another physician or a physician, but it was like somebody higher up than a technician. And they
Mm-hmm.
knocked on the door and said, excuse me. And they were like, and they monitored. They was just like, stop. They stopped it in the middle of what was going on. They were like, lower the machine, da 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 da
Right.
da. And they switched her out because they didn't. They were like, you can't treat patients like that. And
Yeah.
so I don't know if you remember, but there was this time on social media where all of these white nurses were doing videos. They were just videoing themselves talking about how they just didn't believe black patients. And I don't know if it was a trend or whatever, but black folks was like, we've been doing this. We've been telling y'all this. This is not
Yeah.
surprising to us that y'all, but what we found was what was sad and disappointing was that the brazenness to get on
Mm-hmm.
social media
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
expose yourself as
Yeah.
racist. And
Yeah.
there is this guy who has an account who exposes racial bias. He's a black doctor who exposes racial bias in all the different ways that
Mm-hmm.
racial bias comes into play, in healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I do this because it's important to advocate, obviously, for marginalized communities, and black and brown people need to understand, how to advocate for yourself, what to say, so on and so forth. And so I'm happy that more people are having conversations, but
Mm-hmm.
it's important that but if you don't know how to advocate for yourself, because you said earlier, a lot of it has to do with education level. Sometimes there's
Mm-hmm.
shame and embarrassment. You don't
Yes.
know what to say. You
Yes.
don't know how to say it. A
Yes.
lot of it is economic. It's
Correct.
all systemic. First of all, it's all
Oh,
systemic.
all
It's
system.
all systemic, and it's for a
All of
reason. Just like we're seeing some attacks on any medical schools that has any type of DEI preference towards someone, and they name it, so it's like, okay, so we just want to get rid of black doctors, okay. But
it.
anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
we already have not enough, but
Mm-hmm.
we just want to go ahead and keep reducing the population, whatever.
Right.
So I think that as it gets increasingly difficult to advocate for yourself and reduce the trauma that we experience, obviously, in healthcare, whether it's getting preventive care,
Mm-hmm.
preventive care, or
Yes.
routine as you have to do. I think that that's the challenge. Like that's
It is a
really
challenge.
the challenge, and you already have the initial traumatic marker, right? The
Correct.
diagnosis. But then constantly going through each time, like it's mental warfare. It's really a lot. And it's just like, what is it, to get up and like you said, I don't have time to think about this. I don't have time to be da 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 because I need to mentally be here so I can continue to live and keep
Mm-hmm.
going.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it comes, a point to where it's like, when do we as Black women have that opportunity to just loose off and not think about it? I think the problem is we don't have time, but we need the time
We have to make
because
the time.
right. So it's
We have
like
to make it.
you got to
We
make the
have
time
to
to
take our
carve
cape off.
you got to carve that
We
time.
have to take off our cape
Yeah.
and stop saving the world and save ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and put ourselves first. When I was going through, when I was working with my mental health therapist, because all of this stuff is
Yeah.
traumatic, and I had to go and get a mental health therapist to help me work through some things because I was just bypassing through a lot,
Yeah.
you know. And one of the things that she said to me was, you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first.
Yeah.
And when she said that, just like that,
Yeah.
something just clicked. I said, oh my God, you're so right. Because I had a habit, I have a strong mental acuity
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to traumatic situations because I've come through so much trauma in
Right.
my life and in my upbringing. The way I handle and process trauma is by pushing it to the back and
That was your
focusing on
default.
what needs to be done. Yes.
Yeah.
And what do I need to do?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time to worry about how I feel about it. Tell me what I need to do about it.
Yeah.
Because, coming through trauma when there was nothing I could do about a certain situation, now there are some things I have control over. Okay, forget how I feel. What do I need to do?
Mm-hmm.
So I get into what I call a lock and load mode. I lock away my emotions toward a thing, and I would just load up or get loaded for what it is need to be done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that went with grief. That went with all kinds, whatever it was, whatever the
Yeah.
situation. And until and I was always doing everything for everybody else, putting everyone first. If you needed something, I was going to make it happen, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And so, because I was constantly running that way
Yeah.
and taking care of everything and taking care of everyone else and still taking care of what I need to do too for me,
Yeah.
but still taking care of everyone else as well, I'm like, I'll be fine. What is it that you need? I'm going to be okay. What do you need?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going to the doctor. I'm going to get treatment, but what is it that you need?
Correct. Mm.
That was my response, my default response to everything and everyone. So when grief hit me out of nowhere, I didn't even know it was grief.
Mm-hmm.
I will never forget. Mama and I, she had ministered at a Pain and Peace conference. And I
Mm-hmm.
was down there with her, and we going through, went through that whole day or whatever. And we went to dinner afterwards, like we do. And we're sitting there, and I'm watching, and I'm looking, at the conference. I'm zoned in. I'm locked into everything going on
Yeah.
in the spirit, and all of that. Get to dinner at this restaurant, and the server came and took our drink order, and she messed it all the way up. And I snapped. We didn't ask for soda. This was juice. I don't drink soda. And she asked for this, and this is not what you gave us. Oh, okay. Well, I'll take it back. So she took it back. Took her a long time to come back. She came back again with the wrong thing again. And here I go. I'm snapping. I'm on it. What is wrong with you? This is not what we asked for. I told you this when you came the last time. Da, 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 da. And mama being mama, it's okay. I'm gonna drink it. Nope, you have to deal with it. So I was like, no, it's not okay. That's not what you ordered. This is not what we're paying for. So the girl now she frazzled. She go trying to fix it. Mama said, I will drink it. I said, no, you're not. You're gonna get what you asked for. So the girl walks away. She takes everything back. She goes back to what she was doing. And Mama said, um, I need you. I think it's time for you to talk to a counselor because you are walking in grief real bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
You talk about?
Yeah.
She said, it's time for you to see about yourself
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because you're grieving. I'm like, grieving what? Because at the time, the things I needed, I was that the last person who had passed, it had been months later,
Right.
last person. And she was like, I
Yeah. Well,
said,
I
grieving
remember we
what?
had a
Who?
conversation about grief because I was doing the show and we talked about it. And when you and I talked, and then we were talking about different things, and you said I didn't realize that I was grieving. I had not given myself space to grieve my
And not give
divorce.
myself.
I had not given myself to grieve. See, we reduce
Mhm.
grief, and we talked about this. Mom and I talked about this on the show. We talked about grief and loss. That
Mhm.
we reduce grief to just when someone passes away.
Correct.
The reality is, we need to grieve opportunities.
Yes.
When we don't get promotions on the job, or
Hmm.
a job at
Yes.
all, we lose a
Yes.
contract,
Yes.
relationships, whether they're
Yes.
friendships or marriages, it
Yes.
doesn't matter.
Yes.
Church hurt. Like,
Yes.
there's so much that we don't
I
allow
had to
ourselves.
grieve losing my body part, losing my
Correct.
breast,
You literally lost a whole,
a
and you
whole
live with
body
that
part.
daily. You live with that, and it's like,
Yes.
but we don't realize that, because again, when we reduce grief to just when someone dies, and not things that transpire in our lives,
Yes.
because you said it at the beginning of the show, we don't have time
One time.
until we crash out.
Yep.
I crashed out epically. I'm still in a crash out. I ain't even gonna hold nobody. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, part of this show is to help me with
You,
my crash out.
yeah,
And I'm
you,
just
yeah,
being transparent and
yeah,
honest. Like,
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
crashed
yeah.
out because
Yeah, you in a fast train.
we've had consistent death for
Hmm.
at least 5 years. No one is, and I said this on the show, no one is meant to consume this much
That
grief and loss as
much.
far as death that we have collectively as a community, Black people, since George Floyd and Sandra Bland, and
Listen.
say the names,
Yes.
Tamir Rice is supposed to be 23
Yes.
now. Like, that was a baby. Like,
Yes.
collectively as a community of
Yes.
Black folks, but individually, just every, like, for me, for every year or every other year, it was somebody. Like, we didn't have
Hmm.
space to
Yeah.
even breathe before the next person passed, and the next
Hmm.
person passed. And I talked to my aunt. She says, "Ton, unfortunately, we're at that age where people we grew up with, who raised us and such, are all at that age where they're passing away. So
Yeah.
we're in this space for that."
Yes.
But at the same time, because all in one year, we had 3 deaths.
Hmm.
I had to deal with,
Hmm.
like, grandma, and then my uncle 2 weeks after burying grandma, my
Yeah. Yes.
Uncle George, and then like 4 months, 3, 4 months after that, Uncle Sonny. And so it's
Yes.
just like 3 all in 1 month, and then 1 year, and then, okay, after
Well,
we put Uncle Sonny and we do that, top of the next year, my cousin Raya
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And then it's
Yes.
just, then we get through that
And
year, top
and
of the
on
year,
top,
Auntie Sheila.
add to that, having
In
to be the
between.
one to plan the service or eulogize them, because
Mhm.
that's what I was dealing with.
Right.
These back-to-back deaths, my own losses,
Correct. In
the
between that.
deaths,
Yes.
losing body parts, the
Yes.
diagnosis, the end of a marriage. I'm eulogizing these people. I'm
Correct.
planning out their funerals. I did that for 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years
And where were you in it?
consistently.
Because you kept, each time, we don't realize that each time we don't take care of ourselves, that we don't prioritize self-care, part of
Yes.
us dies. You
Yes.
lose
Yes.
yourself. Self-care isn't selfish,
Yes.
it's necessary.
When I
And
was
I
going
think that
through,
for me, for the longest time, I felt guilty
yeah,
for putting myself first,
me too.
because, hey, serve, 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 take care of other people, but first to your household,
Yes.
and not understanding what that meant. And then sometimes that often gets weaponized against you, because people are manipulating you to do what they want, because they want you
Correct.
to keep
Correct.
giving and giving and giving. And when you're a giver and when you like to serve, people don't know how to stop. Because
They,
when you create that boundary and you like, I'm not doing that anymore,
that's
now
the
it's a
problem.
problem. And now it's like, now they want to gaslight you as if
Yes.
you're doing something wrong, when really you can't draw from an empty well. So for me, it got to a point where I knew how to say no. I just didn't know how to rest in that no. I
I
said
had to
no.
learn to say no and
Yeah.
not feel guilty
Guilty about that no.
about the no,
Yeah.
and not beat myself up
Mhm.
because I can't or I won't. I had to learn to say, uh, uh, because I was always, when somebody would ask me to do something or for something, my immediate response was, okay, yes, what, of course. I
Mhm.
had to learn to set the boundary for myself and say, you know what? Let me think about that. Let me get back to you. I had to learn that.
Yeah.
My therapist told me, she said, baby, you suffer from PTSD.
Yes.
I said, really?
Yes.
And when she broke it down, she said, when I told her all the stuff I dealt with, I had to bring
Yes.
her up to speed from childhood to now. She,
Yes.
the therapist was like, "Oh my God, how is it that you're still on this line and you're still smiling and pleasant and loving and da,
Listen,
da, 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 da." I said, "Jesus,
we don't realize, especially again, how much trauma we carry because we also have generational trauma on top of us.
yes,
And so when you
yes,
have unresolved adverse childhood experiences, we call them
mm-hmm,
ACEs
mm-hmm,
in therapy, unresolved adverse childhood experiences carry with you. If you don't deal with that, you
yes,
they compound onto your life, and so you grieve, and
mm-hmm,
you're carrying these weights.
mm-hmm, yes,
I work out the way I work out because of if I don't, I'm gonna have all this extra weight. I'm still not there yet, but it's my outlet for dealing
mm-hmm,
with the weights
yes,
that's up here and in
yes,
here because first of all, it's here. Like
yes,
I'm here now.
yes,
So what am I gonna do with where I am now in the circumstances? Sometimes there's nothing I can do. There's
mm-hmm,
nothing I
mm-hmm,
can do,
mm-hmm,
but that doesn't mean that life isn't adding traumatic experiences and
right,
markers. But what do I do? So
right,
when anxiety comes on, yes, I can pray, but at the same time, I have techniques that I can do. I do
yes,
okay, what's 5 things that I can see? What are 4 things? What are 3 things? What are 2?
yes,
Like I go through the 5 sense situation to
yes,
bring myself down
that,
so
mm-hmm,
that I'm like,
you need
okay,
to
so I can
recenter,
think and I can focus. Let me breathe. Let me do some breathing exercises. Let me meditate. Let me do something to
yes,
help me get out of this feeling, this space,
yeah,
because I'm triggered. Why am I triggered? Because something traumatic happened to me, and whatever triggered is
mm-hmm,
connected to that, and I'm still
mm-hmm,
working through whatever that is, and I need to address that, right?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
need to give myself space to do that. And I think that again, like you said, making time
we
for
do.
yourself
We have
and
to.
making time to
We
say,
have to.
this is my me day. This is I'm carving out this time for Latanya. I don't know what to tell
to.
you. My phone is on do not disturb, or I'm turning it off. Like most of the
Mm-hmm.
time, Friday nights, if you call me, you text me, you get nothing. It's going straight to voicemail because I turned the phone
Mm-hmm.
off. That's
Mm-hmm.
me time. Also, is different
Yes.
with phone, but that's me time. I
Yeah.
disconnect.
Yep.
I'm not doom scrolling. I might
Mm-hmm.
draw me a nice bath. If not, I might just sit up here with my feet up with a nice glass of Malbec,
Yeah.
watching something,
Yes.
with a charcuterie
We
board
have to.
or whatever,
We
and
have
that's just
to.
my me time.
We
Or
have
throw
to
some
do it.
music on, or at the end of the day, I'm gonna put my feet up. I'm gonna watch my Jeopardy,
Of course.
and
Yep.
I'm gonna watch my Jeopardy. But I'm just gonna relax. I'm gonna put my feet up. I'm gonna have a nice dinner. Most of the if I'm not meal prepping, most of the time I done meal prep something,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had a nice dinner. I got my feet up. Sometimes I just want to listen to music, and I will sit here and I
Mm-hmm.
will just have some nice music on, unwind and relax. I'm not talking to nobody. I'm not thinking about nothing. I just want to
Right.
unwind. In the wintertime, got
Right.
this fireplace on. I'm
Yeah.
cozy. It's whatever. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Until I go in to get upstairs and get into bed and rub my feet together.
Listen.
Get
Listen.
that good rub my feet together because I'm getting ready to get some good sleep. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And
When
have a
I've
good
gotten
night's sleep.
into a place where I had done that so much, I was like, I need days. I have to
Yeah.
do this in days. And then it began to, I started feeling guilty. Oh my God, I needed to have cleaned up, swept the floor, done something. It's going to be there.
It's gonna be
It's going
there.
to be there.
I had
We
to learn to
have
take
to
myself out on
prioritize
dates.
ourselves
Yeah, I learned to
because
take myself out on
traumatic
dates.
experiences are going to happen. We're living in this world. This world is traumatic. America is traumatic. It can be traumatic.
Every day.
Every
Every
single
day is
day,
something new.
there's something that is going to that will cause worry, anxiety, fear. Something is going to happen. So we
Yeah.
have to find out what it is that regrounds us and centers us, brings us back to a place of peace, and not just saying, I'm cutting all these people off to maintain my peace.
No.
No, that's you're not dealing with the issues that need to be dealt with. We
Yeah.
have to do that as well. When talking about the dealing with the trigger, sometimes we don't understand why something triggered us
Yeah.
because it's so deep seated, so deep rooted.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't understand what the trigger is for. And when we don't understand, we need to start looking within and really doing a check in with ourselves. Why
Yeah.
does this bother me so much?
Yeah.
Even doing that is self care.
Correct.
Even doing that, check in with yourself. Why do I feel this way about this thing here? Why did that bother me like that? Why did I respond that way?
Right.
We have to check in with ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and do inventory of what it is we are holding on to, what it is we are thinking about, what it is we are feeding ourselves. Because sometimes we get triggered and respond a certain way because we have just consumed too much of the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Because we do take all this stuff in.
Listen, I unplug. I don't watch the news. Sometimes I don't watch the news. I don't get on
I
social media.
very rarely watch
Sometimes
the news.
I'll go stretches. I'll go days and not be on social media because it's too much. I don't watch the
Mhm.
news because it's too much, and it's too much. And
It
like you said, it could be triggering because you could be doing something completely unrelated, but because it's so much chaos
Yes.
going on
Mhm.
externally in the world, that can overshadow what you have going on in your own life,
Right.
or even magnify what you have going on and make what
Right.
you have going on worse. And it's just like, I'm trying to love, value, and appreciate me, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to get through my own my personal hell. Like, I'm going
Mhm.
through,
Yes.
and I don't need to look at all the other stuff that's telling me that's adding to the adversity that I already have, that I
Correct.
already knew that I'm in this situation because of systemic this and that and that and that. Okay,
Mhm.
at this point, I need solutions. I'm looking for solutions, and I'm not going to get those solutions with the way the algorithm is algorithming. No matter what I'm
Nope.
looking for, it's
Nope.
giving me what it wants me to see versus what I'm
Correct.
looking for. So I'm just not going to get on. And
Correct.
I notice that when I'm not on, then I see what I want to see, because guess
Yes.
what? I'm not on like you
Mhm.
want me to be on.
Yes.
So I'm just, you know what I'm saying? And so I push that out. Even notice with Google, like if I'm looking
Mhm.
for something in particular, sometimes I have to do incognito mode, no
Yes.
cookie, no nothing, so I can
Yes.
get the results that I need to get, because I'm looking
Correct.
for solutions for me. And
Yeah.
even when I'm doing research for whatever projects, I got a book project I'm working on. I've got this, and I've got certain things that I got going on. When I find that I can't get what I need, okay, let me regroup, let me stop, let me not get frustrated, let me not do this. I'm going to
Mhm.
walk away and find another solution. But right
Mhm.
now, I feel myself getting anxious. I feel this,
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
such. And so I take the advice that I give my researchers and my other clients: walk away from it.
Walk away.
Just leave it alone and walk
Yeah.
away from it. And so I will leave it alone and walk
Yeah.
away from it and come back later, and either I'll have a fresh perspective or not. Like, I'm supposed to be, I was just like, listen, this person that ticked me off, I'm not going to be able to give the response that I need to give. And I
Mhm.
need to make sure that the response that I put in place is appropriate,
Mhm.
or it's going to defeat the purpose of everything. And I don't want to mess everything
Right.
up. So let me calm down
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not
Yeah. Yeah.
respond
Yeah.
emotionally and be the better person, because they're already making the argument for me. So I don't
Mhm.
need to do, I'm not going to do that, but let me get
Right.
my stuff together, because you have no idea. Huh.
Yes.
You have no
Yes.
idea, because once
Yes.
I'm in this space, baby, I'm finna introduce you to Jesus so you can
And that's
go with
another
God,
thing that we
because
we
you
need
tried me.
to right.